Should we be kind? I mean, the answer seems pretty obvious, right? Of course we should. But what if it's not that simple? We're about to dive into an essay by an author named Xu Fang that will really make you stop and think. He asks this very question, and his journey to find an answer is, well, it's pretty eye-opening. Let's get into it.
You know, we all have this picture-perfect idea of what kindness is. The author, Xu Fang, he even starts with this beautiful metaphor. He says, kindness is the most beautiful flower in the garden of the soul. And that just sounds right, doesn't it? It's this ideal, this virtue we all chase after. It feels so straightforward. But hold on a second. Just as we're getting comfortable with that lovely idea, he hits us with a question that changes everything. He asks, but what is kindness? And suddenly, it's not so simple anymore. This is where things get really interesting, because we're forced to question a word we use all the time, a word we thought we had all figured out. And to answer that question, he doesn't get all philosophical on us. Nope, he gets personal. He shares 3 stories from his own life, 3 times where he tried to do the right thing, where his intentions were good, and it all just blew up in his face. He shows us a reality that was anything but kind.
So let's look at story number 1. It starts off exactly how you'd expect a story about kindness to start, with an act of charity. He saw some people who seemed to be in real trouble, and he wanted to help. He was generous, but what he got back wasn't gratitude. It was deception. And this is where you see the first big clash. His intention? Crystal clear. Just be kind, help out. The reality? He got cheated out of a huge amount of money, hundreds of thousands of yuan. And when he looked back on it, he had this really tough conclusion about his own actions. He decided it wasn't kindness at all. It was just foolishness. Yeah, his own words say it best. I feel I wasn't kind, but foolish. Wow, you can really feel the sting in that, can't you? That awful feeling when you try to do something good and you just end up feeling like an idiot. Okay, so story number 2 is a little different. It's not about money this time, it's about personal sacrifice. This was an act of total devotion. He poured his heart and soul into caring for someone else. And you can probably guess where this is going. The result was just as painful. His intention was to be kind, to care, but in the end, all that effort was completely devalued. He was actually looked down upon for it. So this time, his verdict on himself wasn't foolish, it was ignorant. And again, his words are so blunt. I feel I wasn't kind, but ignorant. This is such a tough lesson, right? It shows that just wanting to be good isn't enough. If you don't really understand the full picture, your so-called kindness can just fall totally flat. All right, his third story, this one gets even heavier. This time, his act of kindness was praising a government. He genuinely believed in the government, the party, the leader, and he spoke out in support of them. And the result was just staggering. His intention was to offer praise from the heart. But the consequence? The very government he praised ended up taking his home, pushing him to the absolute edge. This led him to the most brutal conclusion of all, that his kindness wasn't just misguided, it was actually helping to support something evil. I mean, listen to this. My praise was an irrational evil. He came to see that his good intentions were actually propping up a system that was destructive. And this just leaves us with a huge, uncomfortable question. If being kind can make you foolish or ignorant, or even complicit in evil, then what's the point of even trying? So you can see how these experiences just shattered his whole idea of what it means to be good. But then he realized, hey, maybe this isn't just about me. Maybe our shared definitions, our simple labels of good and evil, just don't work in the real messy world. He starts with a really tough one. Okay, let's think about this. Most of us would agree that ending a life is an evil act. But what about euthanasia? Is that evil, or is it an act of compassion? Suddenly, that clear line gets really, really blurry. And it's not just a human problem. Take it to the natural world. A cat catches a mouse. Is the cat evil? No, of course not. It's just being a cat. It's surviving. But for the mouse, it's the absolute end. So are our labels of kind or evil even relevant here? They just don't seem to fit. Or how about this? A bird eating insects. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Well, for us, it's great. The birds are protecting the crops we need to eat. But they're doing it by, killing insects.
So who's the judge? Who gets to say what's good in that whole cycle?
And he leaves us with this one last, really powerful image, the opium poppy. It's a stunningly beautiful flower, a true gift from nature. But it's also the source of so much pain and suffering in the world. It just goes to show, doesn't it? Things are rarely black and white. They're usually a complicated mix of both.
Okay, so we've basically torn down the whole idea of kindness as we know it. So, now what? Where do we go from here? Well, this is where the author starts to build something new. He suggests a different way to navigate life, a kind of new compass that helps us move beyond those simple, and often wrong, labels of good and evil. And it leads him to this really radical conclusion for himself. He says, I will be neither a good person nor a bad person. He's basically just opting out. He's stepping away from these boxes that society creates, because his own life has shown him just how useless they can be. So, if he's not a good person or a bad person, what is he? He replaces those labels with a totally new definition of kindness. And it's a huge shift. For him, kindness isn't about what you do. It's about how you are. It's about, in his words, living according to the Creator's intent and God's will. Now, no matter what that specific phrase means to you, the big idea here is about tuning into something bigger than yourself, a natural order, a higher purpose, instead of getting bogged down trying to judge every little action as good or bad. And that's really where this whole journey leaves us. We've seen the everyday idea of kindness get completely taken apart and then put back together into something much deeper, much more personal. The author has found a path that works for him. But he sort of leaves us with a challenge, doesn't he? After all of this, he turns the question back to us. For you, what is kindness?